welcome to Beyond the Scale, the show where everyday heroes tell their stories on how they turn their life around for the healthier. I'm Coach Brittany, and today I'll be speaking with Craig Ballantyne about his battle with anxiety and the 5 pillars of success that he created that will help you overcome anything in life. Hope you enjoy. Welcome, Craig Ballantyne.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you on. Learn about your journey, your story, and just really dig deep into who you are.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
So why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes. So I was born in a small little town in Canada. It's actually the hometown of Justin Bieber, believe it or not. So I'll never be the most famous person to come out of my hometown, but I'll never be the most disliked person to come out of my hometown. So I was born in this little farm town, and when I grew up, I really liked sports, and I wanted to go into some type of helping people in the sports world. I actually wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach in the National Hockey League, which is Ice Hockey League. But then I realized when I was in college, I went and got a master's degree in exercise physiology, and I started writing for Men's Health magazine. So I got a lucky break, and I realized I loved helping very busy parents, moms, dads, to get results, to change their lives, to overcome the frustration that they had, which was, they didn't have any time. And, they went from being college kids who were able to exercise all the time, to having kids, to having commutes, to having evil bosses, all these things that really got in their way of success. And so I just really dug deep into how can I help these people? And I started building these workout programs and selling them on the internet and showing them how to shave hours off their time or to get them started again, right? Because, that's what Fit Body Bootcamp also does, is it allows people oh my goodness, I can get these results in such a short amount of time, and it makes it realistic. And there was a community aspect to it as well, which is another great part of the boot camps, because when you're surrounded by like-minded people, you get more results. And so that's what I did for about 15 years. And then halfway through that, I actually had these anxiety attacks, which we can talk about in a bit. And that was the lowest point of my life. And I had to build these systems that allowed me to be more successful. And those systems got refined over time and eventually became my book, The Perfect Day Formula. And then when people would read the book, they'd be like, oh man, I need to go deeper on this. And so now I do these big events, the Perfect Life Retreat, and these smaller events, the Perfect Life Workshops, for really busy entrepreneurs, executives, to get their days dialed in, to make sure they're acting in accordance with their big goals and dreams. So a lot of people are working too much, but family is their #1 priority. And we want to make sure that those things align, because when you're misaligned, whether it's with your nutrition or with your goals and actions in your life, causes a lot of stress, can lead to anxiety. And having gone through that, I want to make sure no one else does. So that's my journey to start.
Okay. So, you have, your perfect life, you help so many people, but let's dive into your anxiety first.
Sure.
When was it that you realized that you actually had anxiety?
So the very first time that I ever felt something like an anxiety attack was in 2002, but then it went away for several years, and I was about 30 years old when they got really bad, and I was very successful online. I was able to quit my job as a full-time personal trainer, and I suffered from what I called the paradox of freedom. Now, most people think, oh, I want to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and that sounds appealing, but the problem is when you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, you end up doing too much and some things that aren't the smartest things in the world. So I used to drink a lot, party a lot, and then work 12 or 15-hour days. And at age 30, that caught up to me. And so it was actually 12 years ago, quite recently, on New Year's Day, 2006, that I was living in downtown Toronto, and I had just partied really hard the night before. I had 7 Red Bulls over the course of the night, in addition to a lot of alcohol. And the next day I woke up and I had a shower, and I came out of the shower and my heart was pounding like I was just doing intervals. And I was like, this is not good. And it got worse over the course of the day. And the thing is, I lived in this small little studio apartment in Toronto, and I basically paced back and forth over the entire day. And I thought, this is how it's going to end. I am going to be found, and it's going to put shame on my mother that her son was found alone in this apartment, dead of a heart attack, because he was an idiot and went out and partied too hard. And so that was still not the lowest point in my life, but that was a pretty low day. And so at 11 o'clock at night, I gave up. I gave up. Actually, this is really embarrassing, but the only time that my heart rate would like go back to normal and I'd feel normal was doing one activity. And can you guess what it is?
No, what is it?
It was when I would actually sit down to pee.
Oh, wow.
I know, because I would be like, when I sat down to pee for some reason, and I don't normally sit down to pee as a man, but for some reason I did that day. And because I was like just so frustrated and scared and I didn't know what was going on. And I don't know, it's just because like biology took over and it's just like you have to worry about other things. But that was the only time I had any relief until 11 o'clock at night when I gave up and said, I have to go to the emergency room. And I walked outside, and it was a Sunday night. And again, it was January 1st, so there was no traffic on the street. And I flagged down a cab. And as soon as I got into the cab, well, as soon as I got outside, I felt a little bit better. As soon as I got in the cab and told the cabbie to take me to the hospital, I felt even better. And so if you're struggling with anxiety, getting outside of your own head is really important. Getting outside is helpful. Now, it's not going to cure it on its own, but what I was doing, pacing in my room, having my wheels turning, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Am I really having a heart attack? All of these things, it made it worse. So, you know, if you're a busy parent and you are busy at work and you're stressed out about finances or something, and all of this is building up and you don't tell anyone, and all you do is go from work to home and you don't get your exercise or you don't go out in some sunshine, get some walks, you're doing yourself a disservice. So you have to get out there, you have to talk. And I'm not embarrassed by this at all. And every time I tell these stories, it takes me this much further away from ever having anxiety again. Because if I can do this, what's stress ever going to do to me? Nothing. I own it. I own the stress because I'm able to go and have these conversations. So I know back then, though, I was scared to tell people. But as I opened up, it got better. So that night, I go from the cab, drops me off at the hospital, and I walk in, and the emergency room is pretty empty. Again, it's New Year's Day, it's a Sunday night, not a lot of people in there, about 11:30 at night. And I walk in, and I remember the guy's about my age, maybe a little bit younger, who's whatever that position is, and I walk up, and he's got this look on his face, like, what does this idiot want? You know, why is he bothering me? And as soon as I said to him, I think I'm having a heart attack, his face like totally changed, because that's actually what I said to him. And they took me right to the back immediately. So if you ever like sprain your ankle and the emergency room is really busy, just walk up to the front and say, I think I'm having a heart attack, because they take you right to the back right away. And so they did, but don't actually do that. But and I hope you never feel like that. But I went to the back, and the nurse comes over and she's like talking about all these things. Like, oh my gosh, you drank that many Red Bulls? That's not good, you know? It's like, I know that. And then, but what she did, she held my hand and she rubbed my belly and patted my head. And physical touch, physical human touch is also really, really important. So that was very helpful to me, just having her reassuring me, saying everything's okay. And listen, I've actually been contacted by several fit body owners or people that are trainers, stuff like that, who are just so overwhelmed in life, where they were like, you know what, Craig, I kind of feel that anxiety. And I've had clients of my own text me or Facebook message me from the emergency room, where they've said, oh, this stuff is built up on me. And listen, if you are suffering with anxiety, the first thing you need to do is make sure that everything is okay. So go to a doctor. It's okay to go to the emergency room if you absolutely have to, but just go and make sure there's nothing physically wrong with you, because that was one of the most important parts of my healing process as well, because it still isn't the lowest part of my life yet. It gets worse. So that was January 1st, and I left there a couple hours after I went in. I started doing a bit of yoga, and things went back to normal pretty quick. And then so I started going out again pretty quick. And a few months later, I had like a really, really big bender of a weekend. And my father was unfortunately an alcoholic for like 30 years. And I came home one night on a Saturday night, and I got up at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday. And so my father's an alcoholic. He looks at me and goes, wow, you got a problem. So I mean, like when an alcoholic is telling you have a problem with alcohol, you're pretty bad off. So the next day I had a bad dream, and I woke up with what I called a sense of impending doom. And I'm really going long on this anxiety.
No, I love it. Keep going, you're good.
So I woke up with a sense of impending doom. That's the only way I could describe it. And it was 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, I'd been able to quit my job as a personal trainer, so I didn't have to go and train anyone. And I was like, why? It's sunny out, it's a beautiful day. And then the fire alarm went off in my condo, so I had to go and sit outside, and that made things worse. And over the course of the day, it got worse and worse and worse. So by the end of the day, I had what I felt like was a heart attack again. I had the symptoms of a heart attack. I was tingling from the top of my head down to the end of my fingertips. Everything, tingling, all day long, 24 hours a day. Tight chest, elevated heart rate, couldn't breathe very well, really stressed out. And that lasted literally for 6 weeks. So I could sleep from about 11 p.m. until 3 a.m. Then I'd get up because I couldn't breathe properly. And I just had that feeling all day long. I couldn't focus when I went to the gym, couldn't focus on my work. It was really frustrating. And so I describe anxiety as like a black box, because it's a black box to me because I don't know what the heck is going on. And it's a black box to you, Brittany, because I can't explain to you how I'm feeling, because I could have severe anxiety right now, and I could say I feel really terrible, and you'd look at me and go, you look normal. Right. But I have that anxiety, so I can't explain it to myself, can't explain it to you, so it's a black box. And you really need to open that up and figure out what the heck is going on here. So after 6 weeks of this, I gave up again. This is the lowest point. So I still did a little bit of personal training. I was training this client. He was guy's name was Richard. He's an overweight lawyer, 55 years old, 5'3", 310 pounds, and I'm training him on a Monday morning. And again, it's a beautiful sunny Monday morning, the kind you wait in May, and it's the kind of day you wait all winter long in Canada for. Like this is, this is why I went through that frustration of wintertime. And we trained for about 20 minutes. And I'm spotting him, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I give up. I'm like, Richard, can you take me to the hospital? And he looks at me like I have not just 2 heads, but 9 heads. Like he's going, what's wrong with you? What do you mean go to the hospital? And so again, it's that black box. I couldn't explain it to him. He couldn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on with me. So I go to a different hospital this time. Monday morning, it's busy. They don't take me to the back quite as quickly, but eventually they do. They give me a chest x-ray, and then they send me home with a heart rate monitor, and I take it back the next day, and they say, okay, if there's anything wrong with you, we'll call you. And then 24 hours go by, no call. And that was like really, really key to me recovering, because I guess maybe I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, I have a background in exercise physiology. I know what a heart attack feels like, and when you're feeling it and you're like, this is what a heart attack feels like, again, if you don't talk to somebody, your wheels start spinning, and this is all you think about. So that was a lot of relief. That was a lot of relief. And so I knew, okay, so there's nothing physically wrong with me. It just means that I need to maybe correct my habits, my routines, whatever. I'm gonna smarten up here. I'm old enough, I gotta stop being a frat boy. And so I did start, changing a lot of things. But I also bought a book called Panic Away, and I read the first chapter and the first 5 words of chapter 2, which said, there's nothing wrong with you. And as soon as I read those words, that was it. I was done with anxiety. I said to myself, I'm too busy for this. and I've only had to fight off some small anxiety attacks a couple of other times. But I had been doing some other things like yoga, meditation, learning how to breathe properly, because most people, they don't breathe properly. And anybody who's stressed out can benefit from this little tip. So if you're stressed out, it's a busy day, like I didn't get all my work done, it's 5 o'clock, I gotta go do this, rush off, and you're stressed out, you're probably been sitting over your computer like this. And when you've been doing that, you can't breathe through your belly. And so you're breathing through your upper chest. And when you do that, you take these short, shallow breaths. And that increases the carbon dioxide in your blood. And that increases the adrenaline in your blood, which is a hormone you might have heard of. And that increases your anxiety. So if you stop doing that and you open up, and now you go, big deep breath in through your nose, fill up your belly like the big Buddha breath, and then a big slow exhale. And you do that about 5 times over the course of a minute, your stress will go from here to about here. If you do it for another 2 to 3 minutes, you'll be down here and you'll be like, oh, I've got control over myself. Because there's two different types of nervous system in your body. There's a sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight or flight you get anxiety from. And then there's what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. And when you do that slow breathing, your parasympathetic nervous system takes over and calms you down. So that's something I had to learn. And when I learned that, that also helped me overcome anxiety. So if I had, one thing that caused me anxiety back when I was younger was if I drank a lot of caffeine or if I was hungover, I would just do a lot of that breathing, slow breathing, get myself back to normal, and then eventually cut those habits out. So that's my anxiety story.
So you mentioned, thank you for sharing all that, but you mentioned that, reaching out to people and having connections with other people really helped in that. And I think, just like you said, people think that something is wrong with them. And when you read that in the book, it totally changed your thought on it. What exactly do you think people can do when they're suffering from anxiety to reach out when they feel like they have those issues, to find connections with other people to help them out?
It's a great question. And so, when you have the anxiety, and I mean, the last stat I read in the New York Times was 40 million Americans are suffering from this. It's getting worse and worse in the younger population. So parents that are listening, I mean, teenagers are suffering from it more and more, whether it's just because it's diagnosed more or talked about more, because it's social media, whatever it is more prevalent than ever. So if you have it, you have to look for somebody who's positive, who's not going to make you feel worse. So you always need to be thinking about the most positive relationships you have in your life. Maybe it's a pastor, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, but you need to be reaching out to somebody and just let it out. Let it out. Talk it out. Now, on the other hand, if you're the parent, you have to make sure that you are showing your kid that, hey, you can bring me any problems at all. Just, don't let this get bottled up, because bottled up is really a great phrase for it. And if you bottle it up, what happens when you bottle something up? If you bottle it up too much, it explodes into an actual attack where you feel like you're going down. And that's the worst feeling. So just make sure that you are able to open up to people. And the great thing is, you should be able to get almost the same benefits of opening up online, whether it's just writing it out, even journaling. Journaling can be a powerful exercise, even if you can't share it with somebody else, just getting those thoughts out of your head. Again, it's like your brain is just, when you have anxiety, your brain is just crammed full of too many thoughts. It's pinging all over the place. And if you just get that stuff out and empty your brain, we call this a brain dump in my business, or, journaling, morning pages, stuff like that. Just get it out. Get it out. It's like a balloon that's too full of air, and just deflate it. And you'll feel a lot better. In addition to some of those other things that we talked about, the breathing and so on and so forth. But don't let your wheels continue to turn.
I love that breathing tip that you shared with us. I think that's something that, everyone at home can start doing now when they start feeling overwhelmed or anxiety, or just practice that in your everyday when you wake up in the morning. Breathe properly, so that way you set yourself up for a positive day.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can use that at any time. If you're in traffic, if you're stressed out at home life, whatever, it's just a really helpful tip. And in fact, very specific way of doing it will also help you fall asleep. So breathe in for 4. If you're lying down, you're like tossing and turning, you can't fall asleep. It's from Dr. Andrew Weil, and W-E-I-L, and he uses this system where just breathe in for 4, then hold it for 7 count, and then exhale for 8. And if you do that 2 times, it'll really calm you down. If you do it 4 times, you're practically asleep. And it's really, really valuable for all types of situations. So it's just, again, getting control, switching from that sympathetic, really high anxiety type of nervous system that's dominating to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is controlling your heart rate, your breathing, etc.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So you started, dealing with your anxiety using these little tips to help you out. How did you start to, get into structuring your life?
Yeah, it's another great question. And so then taking that paradox of freedom, I had too much freedom in my life. I had to put more structure in place. And when you have structure in your life, you actually have true freedom. So structure equals freedom, or discipline equals freedom, but just having boundaries in your life actually gives you more freedom. So what I did is I realized, if I wake up at 7:30 in the morning and I check my email first thing, I'm gonna feel anxious for the entire day because I feel like I'm behind, right? I should have been up earlier, I'm checking email, and the next thing you know, it's 8:30 and I haven't gotten anything done, and I'm late. That's just gonna make you feel frustrated. And that's a reactive approach to life. Now, if you're structured, if you have a plan, you're taking a proactive approach to life. And proactive people are successful and reactive people struggle. I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's like a reactive person with their nutrition. They go to a gas station because they forgot to buy something to get them, between work and taking their kids to soccer practice and getting home for dinner, and they're starving. They go to a gas station. They have no idea about nutrition, and they just buy some junk. But a proactive person has either planned ahead and has brought something, or they know when they go into a gas station, I know that there's some healthy stuff in here. My trainer taught me this. I'm proactively solving the problem in advance, or they know where to go in advance. There's a grocery store down here instead of a gas station, so there's going to be better options. So that's a proactive approach to life versus reactive, and the proactive approach is structured, so you know what time you're going to get up, you know what you're going to do with your first hour of the day, you know what time you have to leave so you beat traffic. The reactive person is not doing those things, and they end up always with every decision falling further and further behind. So the structure was really powerful, and then that became, okay, I've created my perfect day. How can I go out and help people like Bedros Keuilian build his perfect day so that he becomes less reactive, so that he becomes more successful and can share his vision with the world? And then I started coaching other entrepreneurs on it, other executives, busy parents on it, wrote the book about it, and it really is just about, if you control your day, your work day, then you're free at night to be with your family, your friends, your hobbies, that sort of thing. So it's all about doing a bit of work during the day so that you can do whatever you really, really enjoy at night.
Now, you brought up your Perfect Day Formula book. So you have pillars in there. Can you talk a little bit about those and what they are?
Yes, and I love to share these with everybody listening because I actually learned them from the people in my business who went through my weight loss transformation contest. Okay. So when I started my online fitness business, we would have these classic before and afters. You take your before photo, you do my program for 12 weeks, you take your after photo, but the most important thing that they would do is write a little 300-word summary of what they learned about themselves, about what programs they used, about how they were able to overcome those tough times. And wow, I would read these things, and I've read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds over the years. And what I realized is that the people that won the contest, they had these 5 things in place, and I ended up calling them the 5 pillars of success. And then after I discovered them, I'm going to share with you them in a second, but I realized they don't just work for weight loss. They work for improving your career. They work for if you want to write a book. They work for if you want to find the home of your dreams. Oh, wow. Yeah, they work for everything. And so I loved it because I learned it from my clients and was then able to share it with so many other people. And after that, I learned these in about 2008. And then I looked back on my anxiety attacks and I realized, oh my goodness, I actually used these 5 pillars to overcome anxiety, even though I didn't know that they were the keys to doing it. So, ready to share them?
I'm so ready. Let's do this.
Okay. Pillar number 1 is better planning and preparation than ever before. So it's a little bit long, right? But it's not just planning. It's better planning and preparation than ever before. So you take somebody who's trying to quit smoking, right?
Okay.
There's no way they're gonna do it on their first chance, right? They probably have to try and quit 5 or 6 times. And the reason why it actually works in the end is they have an actual really great plan for it. Or if somebody wants to lose weight, most people, if they just wake up on New Year's Day and say, well, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds this year, well, that's not a plan. That's not a plan. They have to go, well, I gotta go to Fit Body Boot Camp 3 times per week. I'm gonna follow the nutrition program 90% of the time that my trainer gives me, and I'm gonna drink 3 liters of water per day. If I do those 3 things, I follow that plan, I'm actually gonna get results this time. And that's better planning and preparation than ever before. And again, it works for any area of your life. The second pillar is professional accountability. So this is like having a coach in your life. Coach is going to give you a couple of things that nobody else is going to give you. You know what they are?
No. Share it with us. Let's do this.
Okay, 2 things. So a coach is going to give you expert advice. Expert advice because they've been there, they've done that, they're an expert in it. They are your coach. And they're also going to give you no holds barred, no excuses accountability. So if you come to me and say, listen, Craig, I didn't do my workouts this week. Well, most people are going to go, don't worry about it. You'll do it next week. But that's not helpful. No, the coach has to go, okay, all right, tell me why you didn't do it. All right, and then let's set up a system, better planning and preparation, so that you don't have that same mistake in the future. Or, you know, I'm just not going to let you get away with this anymore. You have to come back to me next week and make sure that you do what you said you were going to do. So that's professional accountability. And the reason why the word professional is in there is because I read a research study back at the start of my career that showed me when people were accountable to a professional and not just their friends, they got more results in weight loss. So that means, you know, if you have friends at work and you say, I'm going to lose some weight, you might get some accountability from them. But if you have a trainer at Fit Body Bootcamp, a professional, and you're accountable to them, you're going to get more results that way. So it has to be professional accountability. The third pillar is positive social support. These are your cheerleaders in life, right? So let's think of the analogy of a marathon. You're going to have professional accountability, your coach, who's going to give you the program you're going to follow. Then you have your cheerleaders, the people on the side of the road as you're running. They're just saying, you can do it, you can do it. That's not expert advice, but it's helpful, right? Yeah, I mean, you want to have that. And this might be one of the areas where Fit Body Bootcamp is so strong, right? Because you go to a boot camp and you're in a room with people who have the same problems as you. They're like-minded, they're positive. We're all there to get results. We're all there to support one another. And that's really part of the magic of the program. So you want to have positive social support. Now, you might be thinking, well, how the heck do I do this for anxiety or for, you know, if I want to, you know, improve my career? Well, you can actually get it online as well. So, you know, going to like Facebook groups and being in a Facebook group of like-minded positive people, research shows that online support is almost as powerful as real-world in-person support. So it's really, even if you live in the middle of nowhere, you can still get the power of online social support from positive people. The fourth pillar is a meaningful incentive. Meaningful incentive. Now the thing is, when I first came up with these, I thought it was just an incentive. Any old incentive would do. Because in my weight loss contest, we pay out money. And I paid out over $150,000 over the years, and we give like $3,000 to the winners of each category, and we have 4 categories, men and women over 40, men and women under 40. And I thought, hey, I'm giving them money, that'll keep them going. But most of the people who, well, everybody who won wasn't doing it for the money. They were doing it for something that was more meaningful to them. So I had to throw that word meaningful incentive. And what I realized was, I read those essays, it'd be like, guy over 40, I've got 2 kids, I don't have any energy for them, I want to be around when they graduate college. Those people would stick with the program. Because if someone was just doing it for money, after about 2 weeks, they go, man, this is hard, I'm eating, you know, I'm not eating pizza anymore, I got to exercise. I don't care about this guy's money. But if you were like, man, this is hard, I really want to eat pizza, but man, I got to keep up with my kids, that's meaningful, you'll stick to it. You'll go through the tough times. So that was a really important insight to me, was when I added that one word, meaningful incentive. So whatever it is that anybody wants to change, it has to be meaningful. You have to have a meaningful reason to do it. In a personal example, like I would always join in my transformation contest, not necessarily physically, but I'd say, oh, you know, I'm going to take up this skill for the next 12 weeks. And so one time I said, well, you know, everybody who's smart seems to play chess, so I'm going to learn how to play chess. And I watched like 3 videos on YouTube. I'm like, I do not care about this at all. But I wanted to also take up meditation, and I knew that meditation would help my anxiety. So I started meditating on January 31st, 2013, and I haven't missed a day of at least 5 minutes since then because it was meaningful to me. So that's the big, big pillar right there, meaningful incentive. And then finally, the 5th pillar is actually the most important of them all. You really have to have this one in place, and it's the big deadline. And whenever I write it, I always put it in capital letters because it is so important. Because the deadline helps us in 3 different ways. First of all, it spurs us to initial action to overcome that initial inertia, right? Because if you wake up on New Year's Day and say, I'm going to do XYZ this year, well, you got all year to do it, right? There's no rush. But if you say, I'm going to do, you know, a 21-day boot camp, or I'm going to do a 12-week program with Craig, there's a deadline there. And now you're like, well, I better get my butt in gear and start taking some action. I better get to my first workout. I better change my nutrition right now. So it gets you going. Second thing is, you know, we go back to those, like, you know, you're halfway through and you're like, oh man, I got to work hard again today. I can't eat pizza today. You know, if there was no deadline, you'd be like, I'm going to quit. But if there's a deadline, you're like, well, I'm halfway through, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm on the home stretch now, you keep going, you keep going. So that's where the second part, that the deadline helps you. The third part is, when you're in a race, as you see that finish line, you start going faster and faster. And as you see the deadline in your transformation or whatever it is, you're like, all right, I'm actually going to work harder and harder and harder here because we're almost done, and then I'm going to reward myself. So that's the third way that the deadline kicks in to really, really help. So when you have those 5 pillars in place, better planning and preparation than ever before, professional accountability, your coach, positive social support, your cheerleaders in life, a meaningful incentive, and the big deadline, you can do anything. You can change any habit. So if you want to find the house of your dreams, well, okay, better planning and preparation. Well, I know exactly where I want to live. I know exactly what the house needs to look like. Here's the square footage. Here's how many bedrooms. I've got a good plan. Professional accountability. You're going to go to the best realtor. You're going to say, hey, I need your help. You're going to tell all your friends, hey, we're looking for a home like this, and maybe they'll be able to help you out. Meaningful incentive. Well, I really want to have the home of my dreams for my family, so I'm not going to give up on this search. I'm going to search high and wide. And then finally, big deadline. Listen, we got to find this home in the next 90 days so that you start moving. Everybody's got urgency, and you can go and do it. And you can apply these 5 pillars to anything in your life.
Well, thank you for sharing those 5 pillars. I want to go back to pillar number 5, the big deadline.
Sure.
I've been to some of your retreats and, been through the process, and I absolutely love it. It's helped me in my personal life.
Awesome.
But you also talk about setting, smaller goals that help you get to that big deadline. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So if you say that you want to lose 20 pounds in 10 weeks, that's what's called an outcome goal. An outcome goal. And this numbers based, and you don't necessarily control it. I mean, if you step on the scale and you're like 19.5 pounds because you have a bit of water retention, listen, you still did the best you could. So don't get upset that you didn't hit the 20. But what you can control are what are called the process goals. Process goals to get you there. When I'm in Canada, I say process goals. But here in America, I say process goals. So the process goals are like the steps on the stairs that get you up to the top. And so whenever I'm helping somebody set a goal, I say, let's come up with 3 process goals to get you there. And when I was going through the example of the better planning and preparation, I said when you join Fit Body Bootcamp, you do the workouts 3 times per week, you follow the nutrition, and you drink 3 liters of water. Those are 3 process goals that are totally within your control because you control how much you get to the gym, you control what you eat, and you control how much water you drink. And if you do those 3 things, you'll get to your outcome goal as close as possible. You might even exceed it. And so it's thinking about what are the action steps that I can focus on if this is my goal. So whether it's making more money, whether it's finding the home of your dreams, what are the things that you control right now, every day, that you can take action on to move you ahead? And it's all about moving ahead all of the time.
Definitely. So my final question to you here is going to be, what does living beyond the scale truly mean to you?
So it's not about numbers. It's not about sacrifice. I've helped hundreds of thousands of people lose weight. And at the end of the day, it comes back to that meaningful incentive. And the meaningful incentive always seems to be other people in our lives. And as a coach in that perfect life world now, I realize life is not about money or stuff. It's about people and experiences. People and experiences. So when you're 120, you're going to look back in your life in your rocking chair and you're going to go, man, you know what? It wasn't about the cars I had or even the size of the home. What mattered was the people in the home. And what mattered was what we did with those people. And so I'm really good friends with Bedros Keuilian, the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp. And last year, the highlight of my year was when he brought his family up to Canada and we all went to my mom's house and she made us a dinner that probably cost, if it cost $30 at most to feed the 7 of us, I'd be amazed. And it was that meal which they can't stop talking about and I can't stop talking about. It was really a wonderful experience. Yeah, they had to pay some money to get there, but we only spent $30 on the meal and it was really fantastic because it was the people and it was the time we spent together. So that's what living beyond the scale is. And when you keep that in mind, you think, you know what, I need to take care of myself so that I'm around and I can give my best to those people. And that's what living beyond the scale is to me.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, that was very powerful. If you guys loved the tips that Craig has given today and want to learn more, you can pick up his book, The Perfect Day Formula. Where can they find that book?
At freeperfectdaybook.com or on Amazon as well.
And then he also has his Perfect Life retreats and workshops. So if you want to check those out, where can they do that, Craig?
perfectlifeworkshop.com.
And we'll make sure we have those links available for you so you can look at all that stuff. Again, thank you for being on the show, Craig. It was a pleasure having you. And thank you for listening, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Beyond the Scale podcast. Make sure you follow us on social media so that way you don't miss an episode. Each week we have a new guest that's going to encourage you to live beyond the scale with a fit body, fit mind forever.